Have you ever felt like your brain is just set in stone? You know, that your ability to learn new things or even just feel happy is kind of fixed? Well, the incredible news is that's just not true. Your brain is this dynamic, constantly changing masterpiece. And today we're going to dig into how you can become its lead architect. So what's with this number, 700? Well, the latest science suggests this is roughly the number of brand new neurons your brain can create every single day. And it's happening in a key area called the hippocampus. That's your learning and memory hub. The process is called neurogenesis, and yeah, it's happening inside your head right now.
And get this isn't just something that happens when we're kids. This process, adult hippocampal neurogenesis, is a lifelong thing. I mean, scientists have found evidence of our brains doing this well into our 90s. It's like we have this built-in system for constant renewal, repair, and growth. Which, of course, leads to the big question, right? If we're equipped with this amazing self-renewing hardware, why do we sometimes struggle? You know, with things like depression or anxiety or just that feeling of cognitive fog? Why does the system sometimes feel like it's failing us? That's the exact puzzle we're going to piece together today. So here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at the incredible journey of a new neuron. Then, we'll meet the master molecule that runs the whole show, a protein called BDNF. After that, we're getting practical. We'll dive into the toolkit for boosting this stuff, activity, learning, and mindfulness. And finally, we'll put it all together. Okay, so let's start with the life of a single new brain cell. It's not like a light switch just gets flipped on. No, it's this complex 5-stage odyssey from a simple little progenitor cell into a fully functioning card-carrying member of your neural network. It all kicks off with proliferation. That's where new potential neurons are born. Then comes differentiation, where they figure out what they want to be when they grow up. Next, they have to migrate to the right neighborhood in the brain. But here's the tough part, survival. It's a critical bottleneck, and honestly, a lot of them don't make it. But for the survivors, the final prize is integration, where they plug into the network and start helping you learn and remember things. So, what's conducting this whole delicate 5-act play? Well, we need to introduce the hero of our story. It's a protein with, I'll admit, a bit of a clunky name, but its function is pure superstar. Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Factor, or as we'll call it, BDNF. Honestly, the best way to think about BDNF is like Miracle-Gro for your neurons. It's amazing. It doesn't just help the new brain cells grow, it actively protects the ones you already have, and it strengthens the connections between them, which is literally the physical basis of learning and memory. Just how important is this stuff? Well, BDNF is involved in every single one of those 5 stages of neurogenesis we just talked about. It's absolutely essential for forming new memories, what scientists call synaptic plasticity. And here's the kicker. Low levels of BDNF are consistently linked to things like depression and chronic stress. It really is the master regulator of your brain's health. But there's a fascinating twist. BDNF has this kind of evil twin, its precursor form, which is called pro-BDNF. While the final, mature BDNF is all about growth, survival, and connection, pro-BDNF can actually do the opposite. It can trigger cell death and prune away connections. So the really crucial thing isn't just making BDNF, it's making sure it matures into its final, helpful form. Okay, so if BDNF is so ridiculously important, how do we get more of the good stuff? Let's get to our first tool, and this is the one that works the fastest, just getting your body moving. The connection here is just incredibly direct and powerful. When you exercise, you're basically sending a signal to your body to produce an immediate surge of BDNF. This isn't some long-term, maybe it'll work kind of thing. Nope, it's a direct molecular response that happens right away. And this boost is so accessible. A single workout is all it takes to get that spike. Things like high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, seem to be especially effective. And the more you do it, the more potent each session becomes. But you know what? Even short exercise snacks, like just taking the stairs instead of the elevator, can trigger this response. It's really more about the intensity than how long you go. So why is that immediate boost so important? Well, because it's on the clock. That surge of BDNF floating around in your bloodstream lasts for about an hour. But that's the magic window. That's just enough time for that precious protein to cross from your body into your brain, to get past the blood-brain barrier and get to where it's needed most, basically fertilizing your brain cell. All right, the quick hit from exercise is fantastic, but we also need a long-term strategy, right? That brings us to our second pillar, actively challenging your brain with new and complex stuff. Now, unlike that immediate spike you get from exercise, cognitive stimulation is more of a slow burn. Studies show its effect on BDNF levels is delayed. It builds up over weeks. But the payoff is huge, a more sustainable, long-term increase in your brain's actual capacity for growth. It's about building resilience. So what does this actually look like? Well, it's not about doing Sudoku puzzles for hours on end. It's about seeking out novelty and diversity. Try a new route home, learn a new skill. Even something called olfactory training, like consciously smelling different spices, has been shown to have an effect. But a quick word of caution. Research is starting to show that high exposure to traditional screen time is actually linked with lower BDNF levels. And if you want the absolute best example of this, look no farther than the famous study of London taxi drivers. Before GPS, these guys had to memorize thousands of streets. It's a massive feat of spatial navigation called the knowledge. And when researchers looked at their brains, they found their hippocampi were significantly larger than average. This is real-world, undeniable proof that intense mental workouts physically change your brain. Okay, so we've got the quick hit of exercise and the slow burn of learning. But to make them both work as well as they can, we need to create the right internal conditions. And that brings us to our third and foundational pillar, mindfulness. I want you to think of mindfulness as the support system for this whole operation. This isn't just about feeling calm. It's about creating a biological environment inside your body where BDNF can actually thrive and do its job without being constantly sabotaged by things like stress and inflammation. So here's how it works. Mindfulness practices, when you do them over several weeks, can increase your BDNF levels. But maybe just as important, they lower the villains in our story. Cortisol, that's the stress hormone that actively slams the brakes on neurogenesis, and systemic inflammation, which is basically toxic to your brain cells. And you know one of the most powerful ways to practice this? Just spending time in nature. All right, let's pull all three of these pillars together now, because this isn't about picking one over the others. It's about understanding how they work together, in synergy, to give you this incredible level of control over your brain's health and its future. So let's put it all together in your toolkit. You can use physical activity, those high-intensity snacks, for an immediate BDNF boost, maybe right before you need to learn something. Then you engage in cognitive stimulation, seeking novelty, to build that long-term brain resilience. And all the while, you use mindfulness as the foundation to create a low-stress, low-inflammation environment where all this growth can actually happen. See, they're not separate strategies. They're one integrated system. So the science is crystal clear. Your brain is not fixed. It's constantly being built and rebuilt, day in and day out. And that master molecule, BDNF, is the key ingredient. You now have the toolkit, the quick hit, the slow burn, and the foundation to actively participate in that construction. So the only real question left is, what will you build?